Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to Vedantu JEE channel. So guys, एक बात बताओ, क्या कभी ऐसा फील किया है कि जो क्वेश्चन हमें सॉल्व करने में बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्टी होती है, इनफैक्ट वी एंड अप गिविंग दोज क्वेश्चन अप, जब हम वो क्वेश्चन हमारे टीचर्स के पास लेके जाते हैं एज आर डाउट्स, दे आर एबल टू सॉल्व इट जस्ट लाइक इट वॉज अ पीस ऑफ केक, राइट पीपल? तो बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे टीचर्स जो हैं दे आर मजिशियंस ऑफ आर सब्जेक्ट्स, राइट? बट देन हाउ अबाउट आई टेल यू कि एक बहुत ही सिंपल सी टेक्निक है जो आपके टीचर्स के साथ उनके प्रोफेशन में काम करती है, बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे आर एबल टू gauge and solve and give you the answers of almost every question that you present in front of them. Okay, and the name of that technique, my dear friends, is Feynman Technique, right? So I'm going to share this awesome technique with you today, and this will help you to never forget any concept that you are going to learn in future. Okay, so stay tuned. I'm going to tell you. Let me start with my introduction. This is me, your Suri sir. I'm an alumnus of IIT Bombay, and on this channel I'm your Mogambo. Why? Because when you will crack the examination of JEE or NEET, Mogambo khush hoga. Okay people, and if you are new on this channel, then I want you people to subscribe to the channel right now and press that bell icon so that whenever your Mogambo comes live, मैं जब भी आऊँगा और कोई भी वीडियो लेके आऊँगा तो आपको उसका नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाएगा. Okay guys, so let's start and talk about the technique. But before that, I'm sure most of you have never heard about this great personality, Richard Feynman, right? If you have heard about Feynman, then you know how awesome personality he used to be. वो कितने बड़े साइंटिस्ट थे, वो कितने बड़े टीचर थे, और वो क्यों फेमस थे, इसके बारे में आपने ज़रूर सुना होगा. एंड स्पेशली अगर आपने वो सीरीज़ देखी है द बिग बैंग थ्योरी, तो डेफिनेटली आपने शेल्डन कूपर के मुंह से बहुत बार उनका नाम सुना होगा, राइट गाइज? जस्ट फॉर पीपल जो उनके बारे में ज़्यादा नहीं जानते हैं, लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू दैट रिचर्ड फेनमैन वाज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इन्फ्लुएंशियल थियोरेटिकल फिजिसिस्ट विच हैज़ एवर बिन in the history. Yes guys, in fact for modern physics he is one of the very influential personality. In fact he used to be a very brilliant explainer and a teacher as well, because of the techniques that he used to use. He used to make very complex concepts which people used to find very difficult in understanding. He used to make it very easily understandable by the techniques, by the ways he used to explain the concepts to the people, right? In fact, Richard Feynman is he was very well known for his contribution in the stream of quantum mechanics, and later on in 1965 he also became a Nobel Prize winner, right? So yeah, especially for the contribution that he gave to the field of physics. Okay, so guys, a very awesome personality. You might be interested in reading about him, about his lecture. There is a book that you can study for JEE preparation, which was written very own by your very own Mr. Richard Feynman sir. Okay, so if you want, you can definitely do research. You might find recorded lectures of his also. A very amazing personality of physics, and I'm sure many of the students find him their favorites as well. Okay guys, now before me starting to get emotional about this personality, let me go and talk about the technique which we are here to understand. Okay, so guys, Feynman टेक्निक से होने वाला क्या है, पहले मैं उसके बेनिफिट्स आपको बता देता हूँ, फिर उसके बाद में हम लोग बात करेंगे कि आखिर Feynman टेक्निक है क्या और कितनी सिंपल है और कितनी इजीली एप्लीकेबल भी है. ओके, सो हाउ कैन यू एग्जैक्टली टेक एन एडवांटेज ऑफ Feynman टेक्निक? हम उसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं टू अंडरस्टैंड द आइडियाज़ और कॉन्सेप्ट्स दैट वी एक्चुअली डोंट गेट, राइट? बहुत बार होता है कि हमने क्लास में कोई लेक्चर अटेंड किया, राइट? इनफैक्ट आप वेदांतु के प्लेटफॉर्म पे भी सीख रहे हो, बहुत बार आप कुछ सुनते हो, आपने उससे पहले उस कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में कुछ नहीं सुना होता है. फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन यू लिसन टू द लेक्चर, इनफैक्ट आई कैन से दैट वेरी क्लियरली फॉर से वन ऑफ द चैप्टर्स लाइक कैलकुलस और रिलेटिव मोशन, राइट, और वर्क पर एनर्जी, कोई भी चैप्टर हो सकता है. तो पहली बार जब हम उस चैप्टर के बारे में सुनते हैं तो मे बी आफ्टर द लेक्चर we get confused, we don't even get what exactly happening. So Feynman technique could be a very easily helpful technique to get the concept after you were not getting it in the very first go. Okay, that's the first thing. Also, it will help you to remember the ideas that you can understand बट देन यू लेटर ऑन फॉरगेट व्हेन द एग्जामिनेशन कम्स. ओके, बहुत बार होता है कि हमने एग्जामिनेशन से पहले जब हमने लेक्चर्स अटेंड किए थे तो सब कुछ समझ में आ रहा था, या व्हेन यू वर इन द क्लास टीचर ने पढ़ाया तो हमें सब कुछ समझ में आ रहा था, बट व्हेन वी वेंट टू सॉल्व द क्वेश्चंस बाय आवरसेल्व्स वी कुड नॉट अप्लाई द कॉन्सेप्ट्स एट ऑल. और स्पेशली जब ऐसा सिचुएशन एग्जाम में आ जाता है तब तो और भी ज़्यादा डिफिकल्टी हो जाती है, राइट गाइज. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट इज एज अ वेरी एफिशिएंट वे टू स्टडिंग बिफोर एग्जामिनेशन. इन फैक्ट विद इन 20 minutes यू कैन एक्चुअली डू इंटायर रिविजन ऑफ एनी टॉपिक, एनी चैप्टर, एंड इन सच एन एफिशिएंट वे कि जो भी आप इस टेक्निक से पढ़ोगे इन दोज 20 minutes इट विल स्टिक टू यू, इट विल स्टिक विद यू फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ योर लाइफ. Yes, I'm not kidding guys, that actually works. Okay, so let's not waste any time more and let's talk about the very simple 4 basic steps of the very famous Feynman technique. Okay, so guys, are you ready? If you are, then just listen, sit back, relax and try to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. And these are very simple 4 steps. ठीक है, बहुत सिंपल से 4 steps बताने वाला हूँ. Step number 1 is choose your concept or idea. मतलब फिजिक्स की बात करते हैं. फिजिक्स के किसी भी चैप्टर में कोई भी एक कॉन्सेप्ट है जो आप सीखना चाहते हो, पिक दैट अप, राइट. In the beginning, I would not want you to pick the most difficult one, and I would also not want you to pick the most easiest of the one, right? Pick something which is mediocrely difficult for you, okay? Pick that concept, and then take a blank piece of paper and write the name of the concept at the top of the page. पहली चीज़, okay? कुछ भी हो सकता है. For example, relative motion ही example में ले लेते हैं. Relative motion is that concept that I want to learn with the help of this technique. तो मैंने एक piece of paper लिया, उसके बिल्कुल टॉप पे मैंने लिख दिया relative motion. Okay, second step. Now this is where you might find it funny, but this is where the psychology starts working. Pretend that you are explaining it to a child or your younger brother or sister, or maybe any junior, or maybe you are standing in front of a mirror and explaining it to yourself. Yes, I'm not kidding, you will have to do it. Okay, so you know what you have written at the top of the paper. Now just imagine that you are explaining. If you have not written, just go in front of the mirror and do this. Okay, now start writing everything about the topic that you have written at the top. तो अगर मैंने relative motion लिखा था तो मैं relative motion से related जो भी चीज़ें मेरे दिमाग में आती हैं, I will start writing it down, not the definitions only. I will try to write everything how a book is written to explain things to you. Okay, so exactly that way is whatever diagram, pictures, visualizations, formulae, equations, all the things which are coming in your mind, just start putting them down on the piece of paper. Okay, as if you are teaching this to somebody. Okay, तो अगर piece of paper पे लिख रहे हो तो ऐसे जैसे कि सामने कोई बैठा है, आप उसको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो ऑन द पीस ऑफ पेपर, बिल्कुल उस ऑर्डर में आप उसे लिखते जाओ. और अगर आप इन फ्रंट ऑफ अ मिरर, अगर एक कांच के सामने अगर आप खड़े हो और एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो तो ऑब्वियसली यू आर नॉट राइटिंग, यू आर टॉकिंग एज इफ राइट नाउ आई एम टॉकिंग टू यू पीपल. ओके, सो जस्ट इन फ्रंट ऑफ अ मिरर स्टैंड एंड ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन दैट कॉन्सेप्ट टू योरसेल्फ. ओके, sounds funny, sounds little silly, but trust me, this is where the actual crux of the technique is going to get started. Okay, next what? So whenever you get stuck when you are explaining, go back to the source or the book or ask your teachers, or maybe now you can also refer to internet. Okay, तो अब क्या होगा, जब आपने टॉपिक पिक किया था, मैंने बोला था कि बहुत ज़्यादा इजी भी नहीं, बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट भी टॉपिक पिक नहीं करना है, कोई मीडियोकर सा टॉपिक पिक किया. उस टॉपिक को एक्सप्लेन करते समय ऑब्वियसली व्हेन यू विल एक्सप्लेन इट एज इफ यू आर टीचिंग इट टू समबडी, you will in the beginning will fumble, will get stuck, because your fluency of the thoughts will not be there, right? So wherever you are getting stuck because you are not actually teaching it to somebody, take a break. When I say break, take a pause, go refer a book, go refer your mobile phone for internet, not for any other chatting or social media. Go simply on Google, search for that thing. Okay, or maybe to your notes, or maybe if you are connected to me or any other teacher, ask those doubts. Okay, any teacher, whoever you can ask anything that I've written. So just ask and try to understand when you are getting stuck at a particular point, right guys? ये step बहुत ज़्यादा crucial है. Reason being, जब हम किसी को भी वो concept explain करने जाते हैं तो while explaining we try to create a mental image in our mind, and trust me, even if you will try to resist this process, this will work psychologically with you. Okay, so as if right now when I'm explaining this, technique to you people. There are words, there are thoughts, there are pictures which are coming in my mind, which I'm actually explaining it to you, or I'm trying to give them a word as a representative of whatever picture is coming in my head, and I'm telling it to you, right guys? This is where, you know, your brain is creating addresses in your brain related to a concept that you are trying to teach somebody, right? So when you are teaching, you are also learning, right? And if you are fluent with the concept, you will be able to teach it without any hesitation, without any fumbling, without any roadblocks. Okay, but if you are not very good at that topic, right, then you will definitely stuck at some point. Wherever you are going to get stuck now, because you are trying to explain it to somebody, till the point where you are getting stuck, you will be crystal clear about whatever you were speaking, and you will be crystal clear about the concept also. So the moment you get stuck, that is where the light bulb should glow, and you will know what your doubt actually is. Then if you will refer any book or internet or any teacher you will ask, you will know what to ask. And trust me guys, when we know what to ask, that is when we get to know what we actually don't know, we didn't know about that concept, and what exactly is the point that we are not understanding in a concept. Okay guys, so I hope you are getting step 3 is the most crucial step of this entire process. Okay, so now when you have understood this process, okay, so you will go back to the source material and relearn and come back to fill in the gaps. That means what? After you have learned the concept again, you will again come back, you will sit with the same piece of paper, or you will stand again in front of mirror, you will start explaining that concept till the time you are done explaining this. Okay, now the process gets the most interesting when you try to explain it in the most simplistic manner. Okay, means what? If you are explaining it on the piece of paper, or you are explaining it to yourself in the mirror, always imagine that you are explaining it to somebody younger than you, who has lesser experience, who has lesser knowledge, and who has lesser understanding of the subject. So at that point of time, when you try to explain it to somebody who's younger, you actually try to give them analogies, you try to give them examples, you try to give them methods which they are able to relate to, right guys? So that ways you are actually trying to simply simplify the process, right guys? So when you try to simplify the process, you are actually simplifying it to understand for yourself also. तो ऐसे प्रोसेस में आप जब किसी को ये चीज़ें एक्सप्लेन कर रहे होंगे, आप ऐसे आइडियाज़ अपने दिमाग में लेके आओगे, जिससे कि आप उसे बहुत सिंपल वर्ड्स में, बहुत ही सिंपल लैंग्वेज में, और बहुत ही सिंपल मेथड से उस स्टूडेंट को जिसको आप इमेजिनरीली सिखा रहे हो, आप उसे सिखा सको, राइट? सो व्हेन यू विल बी एबल टू actually start from A and take it to Z and explain it without any fumble, without any roadblocks, without anywhere stucking, that is where you have actually completely learned the concept. Okay guys, so a quick recap of this very simple technique so that we understand how can we take care of all those 3 things which I told you in the beginning. हम क्या क्या चीज़ें अकम्प्लिश करना चाहते हैं, एक बार क्विक रिविजन करते हैं उसका समरी. सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना है, कोई भी कॉन्सेप्ट जिसे हम मास्टर करना चाहते हैं, वी हैव टू पिक इट. पिक इट मीन्स वी हैव टू हैव अ अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि हमें ये चीज़ पे मास्टरी करना है, राइट? आफ्टर दैट यू विल ट्राई टू टीच इट टू योर सेल्फ और समवन. ओके, इट कुड बी अ रियल पर्सन, इट कुड बी एन इमेजिनरी पर्सन, totally up to you. Okay, in the process when you are going to get stuck, you will, you know, take a pause, you will refer the references which can help you understand that gap which you are not able to bridge between the concepts. उस गैप को ब्रिज करने के दौरान आप बार बार उस कॉन्सेप्ट्स को सीखोगे और आगे बढ़ते जाओगे, एक्सप्लेन करते चले जाओगे. ओके, when you are explaining the 4th step, you have to try to make it simpler and simpler and more simpler for somebody to understand. Okay guys, and then you keep on doing this till the time you are able to explain that concept fluently without even a single time fumbling or stopping or halting at any of the points which you thought you wanted to talk about for a particular concept that you were trying to understand for yourself. Okay guys, right? So once you are done with a concept that you were trying to explain it to someone and eventually trying to learn, give it a break. Again, after a week or 10 or 15 days, come back to that same concept and try that one more time in front of a mirror or again on the piece of a blank paper. If you are able to still explain that concept completely, 15 दिन के बाद में भी अगर आप उस concept को completely explain कर पा रहे हो, that simply means now it has got actually stored in the memories, so that the understanding of that concept is never going to go away. Getting it, guys? I believe what was said by Sir Albert Einstein, that if you can't explain it simply, then you actually haven't understood it well for yourself. It actually makes a lot of sense, and when I speak about it as a teacher, I totally relate as well as agree to it. In fact, to be very honest, guys, I have a confession to make here. You know, it's this technique only, Feynman technique, which worked psychologically without even me knowing that there is a technique like that which exists. It has made me a teacher, right? So when I started teaching, this is 2010 that I'm talking about. When I started teaching, the first institute that I went to teach, I personally wanted to teach the subject of chemistry, because as a student, I must have confessed this earlier in earlier classes also in my sessions, that I actually wanted to become a chemistry teacher because chemistry was my more scoring and favorite subject when I was preparing for JEE, right? But then the institute where I went for my teaching job, the first teaching job, they had a vacancy of physics teaching only, right? And I so wanted to get into teaching. I started teaching physics. But then I'll be very honest when I'm confessing this, in the first week or 2 lectures that I used to take, I actually used to get blank during the sessions when I wasn't actually able to explain a particular concept in a simplified manner. I had an understanding for myself, but when I was not able to explain it clearly, that is where that gap was coming in my own understanding, maybe. Yeah, in the beginning. And that is where I used to come back after the lecture. I used to refer the textbooks, I used to refer it on the internet, and I used to solve more and more and more JEE problems again by myself, because there was a huge gap of around 6 years of the time when I prepared. I went to IIT and then I started teaching. So when I studied, I never studied as if I will be teaching, but then when I started teaching, that is where Feynman technique came in rescue for me. So I started again in the same process, and I should say that it's the occupation which actually took me again and again in that loop where I had to explain the concept to the students, and when I used to explain it to the concept to the students, I was getting myself a better understanding of each and every concept. And that is eventually what I would say, that I don't say that I'm the best teacher, obviously I can't say that, but whoever I was, what kind of teacher I was in 2010, this is 2020, 10 years down the line, I can definitely say I'm a more confident teacher, and I can explain a lot of concepts much better than how I used to explain when I was in year 2010 starting to teach. Okay, so I'll just give you a very simple practical example, like 2 very simple concepts that I have right in top of my mind, as I explained on the example of relative motion only. I took that name of relative motion only. So guys, have you ever wondered that when we try to write relative velocity of B with respect to A, 2 objects B and A, why do we write it as VB minus VA only? Why do we subtract them only? Doesn't matter which direction they are moving, we write the formula like this only, right? So there could be 2 objects, one is A, other is B. So when we first of all write VBA, it means that हम लिखना चाह रहे हैं velocity of B as seen by A. तो यहाँ पे A ऑब्जर्वर है और B ऑब्जेक्ट है, मतलब B कैसे देखेगा A को, उसको क्या लगेगा B को जब वो देखेगा. तो इस प्रोसेस में we say that we basically fundamental thing that has to be understood in relative motion concept is that even if your observer moves, your observer is who? A. Even if your observer moves, he never moves with respect to himself. अगर आप मेरे relative motion के lectures में भी जाओगे तो ये language आपको वहाँ मिलेगी. A अगर observer भी है और वो खुद भी move कर रहा है, तो वो अपने respect में कभी भी move नहीं करता. That means what? The velocity of any observer with respect to himself will always be 0. So say if your observer and the object had their own individual velocities with respect to ground, that was VA and VB. So first thing first, आई हैव टू मेक माई ऑब्जर्वर स्टेशनरी, क्योंकि हम एज एन ऑब्जर्वर चाहे हम मूव करें या ना मूव करें, हम हमारे रिस्पेक्ट में कभी भी मूव नहीं कर सकते. So even if I'm standing here, sitting here right now, I'm not moving. And even if I'll be sitting in a car or even if I'll be running, I will always be within my body. That means what? I want to make this observer a stationary. How will I do that? I will do that by giving this person, this observer, a same velocity in the opposite direction. That means minus va. तो ये va वेक्टर और ये माइनस va वेक्टर कैंसिल हो जाएगा. That simply means I just wrote velocity of a with respect to a and I made it 0. How can I make it 0? By writing va minus va. Right guys? But when we do that, ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ a के लिए नहीं होगा. This you will have to do with the things which your observer is observing as well. That means what? हमने a की velocity को तो 0 बना दिया by giving it a velocity in the opposite direction. अब उतनी ही velocity उसी direction में b को भी देना पड़ेगा. So this will be va in the negative direction और vb के opposite direction में, और simply in the direction whichever you have drawn for a. तो यहाँ पे अब हम जब b के ऊपर नज़र डालते हैं तो वेलोसिटी ऑफ b जो हो जाती है, अब वो ग्राउंड के रिस्पेक्ट में ना रह गई, वो हो गई है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ऑब्जर्वर a, एंड यू विल से वेलोसिटी ऑफ b एज सीन बाय a इज नथिंग बट vb माइनस va. ओके, अब vb और va के डायरेक्शंस क्या थे, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली ये ऐड होंगे, सब्ट्रैक्ट होंगे, कभी परपेंडिकुलर होंगे, कभी किसी और एंगल पे होंगे. दैट विल एक्चुअली कीप ऑन चेंजिंग. बट द फंडामेंटल थॉट दैट यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड इज व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग दिस इक्वेशन, you are not only subtracting velocity of a from velocity of b, you are actually subtracting velocity of a from its own velocity also to make him stationary. a को भी stationary बनाया है हम लोगों ने. Okay guys, so if you get this concept, then I have actually understood the Feynman technique myself well. And if you want to refer to more of such things, then definitely you can do more of such research. And definitely when you are learning something from anyone, just to test whether you have understood that very well or not, all you have to do is try the Feynman technique. Okay, try to explain it to people. When you explain it to people, trust me, you learn even better, and those learnings that you will have will stick to you forever. Okay people, so I hope it's going to be an awesome technique to use. And there's one thing which I want to share with you all, especially my 2020 students, those students who are preparing for JEE 2020. I know that for you the time is not that much that you can apply Feynman technique that much. अगर बहुत free time है तो definitely try करो with difficult concepts. और अगर time कम है, which I'm sure you realize that your examination is now happening in the month of September. So guys, अगर अभी भी क्रैश कोर्स की ट्रेन नहीं पकड़ी है वेदांतु पे, तो 10th of August से वी आर स्टार्टिंग अ न्यू बैच ऑफ क्रैश कोर्स फॉर JEE 2020 aspirants. Okay people, this would be possibly the last opportunity for JEE 2020 aspirants to join a crash course with Vedantu, where you are going to get a lot of live lectures, a lot of testing, your own performance analysis, rank booster quizzes, and recorded session access for yourself. Okay people, so if you want and you have missed it earlier, you don't want to miss it now, go to the description box of this video where you will find this link. If you can remember or if you can see and type vdnt.in/JEE CCE, this is the link. और जब वहाँ पे जाओगे, so use this code SMCC. So crash course का जो फीस है, which is actually almost 25,000, will be yours for just under 3,000. Okay guys, I hope it's helpful for all my JEE 2020 aspirants, and for people who are 2021 और 2022 aspirants जिनके पास अभी relatively ज़्यादा time है, तो guys अगर वेदांतु के टेलीग्राम चैनल पे अभी तक नहीं आए हो, which is actually free of cost, and why it is useful to be on telegram channel of Vedantu, because that is where we share assignments, solutions, study material and daily updates of what is happening on this channel. Okay, तो वो link भी available है description box में. Do refer that and join the free telegram channel of Vedantu. Okay people, so this video comes to an end here. अगर टेक्निक पसंद आई और अगर आपने उसे कभी यूज़ किया है या करने वाले हो, सो डेफिनेटली टेल मी दैट इन द कमेंट सेक्शन कि कौन सा कॉन्सेप्ट है जो आपने फिनमैन टेक्निक से मास्टर किया. ओके, सो आई वुड बी लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू योर कमेंट्स इन दिस वीडियो. अगर इस टेक्निक में मज़ा आया सो डू हिट दैट लाइक बटन, अपने दोस्तों के साथ भी शेयर करो और साथ में एक दूसरे को पढ़ाओ, साथ में एक दूसरे को कॉन्सेप्ट्स एक्सप्लेन करो और इवेंचुअली खुद सीखो. ओके गाइस, so the last thing to ask is for people who are new on the channel, subscribe to the channel right now and press the bell icon. Okay, अगर नए हो और अभी तक नहीं सब्सक्राइब किया है तो कर लो और वो बेल आइकॉन भी प्रेस कर लो so that whenever your Mogambo comes live with awesome videos like that, you will get the notification. Okay people, so with a promise that during this difficult times also learning won't stop, I'll take your leave and I'll see you very soon. Till then, keep studying, keep enjoying physics, and more importantly, be safe. Bye bye guys.